How's it going? Adam Drake here, and today I'm going to do a short video and share some information on air filters for your Nitro engine. So what I have here is the primary filters that I use from Flashpoint RC. So I normally use the low C style boot and housing, and then the Flashpoint pre-oiled filters. Another good option is the ProTech pre-oiled filter. You can get a number of the filters that are on the market without oil and oil them yourself, but it's just really convenient to get the pre-oiled filters. But we had a discussion recently at the track. Someone was asking basically how I prepare or how I do my filters, because what can happen sometimes, and I'll show you the difference between the Flashpoint and ProTech. When you're looking at the filter, you see the blue color, which is the oil that's used. And it may not look like there's a huge difference between the two filters, but there is, and there also can be a pretty big variance. So what I like to do is just take a brand new shop towel, and then I will just kind of fold it a couple times. And then I will take the filter straight out of the bag, put it into that shop towel, and I will just squeeze and kind of roll. And you're just trying to kind of like wring out any excess oil. So you do that for 10 seconds or so. Just make sure the oil is basically being spread out into the filter and also taking any excess oil out of the filter. So now we'll do the same thing with the ProTech filter. And again, not a huge difference in how the filters look, but you'll see here when I go to wring out the ProTech filter that in most cases the ProTech filters seem like they come with a little bit more oil than the Flashpoint. And it's not a bad thing, it's just you want to make sure you're consistent. Again, I run both of these filters, but I primarily lead towards the Flashpoint ones. I actually like that they come in a 4-pack. It's nice because you don't have as many filters kind of open or exposed. Once I pull the one filter out, the end that I cut, I'll actually put in backwards into the bag. That way it more or less seals the bag. But you'll see here the paper towel with the Flashpoint filter versus the paper towel with the ProTech. So just a little bit of extra oil. And again, it's not a big deal. It doesn't mean that one is better than the other, but it's just something that you need to consider. Even if you're oiling the filter yourself, you want to make sure you use a lot of oil so that it fully coats the filter, but you don't want to then run the filter with all that oil. You want to make sure you kind of wring out any of the excess oil so that you have a consistent spread out amount of oil. And the reason for that is if you have too much oil, if you're running on a really dusty track, the oil, if it's doing its job, it's going to stop that dust and dirt from getting all the way through the filter. But it also, if there's too much oil, it can kind of clog the filter. So it's good in terms of protection for your engine, but it can make the tune of your engine change drastically if you have too much oil. So again, you want to make sure you use the proper oil, a good oil that is sticky, keeps the dust out, but you don't want to have too much oil. And then another thing that you need to kind of look for or consider, when you put the filter on, you want to make sure sometimes when it's stamped, if the stamp isn't like super clean, the filter can kind of get a little bit hung up on the housing. And then also when you put the end cap on, and this is pretty much the same with any housing, you want to make sure you kind of twist the end of that housing until it locks into place and also fully seats, because if that end cap doesn't fully seat, it doesn't compress the filter to where it's protecting it on the ends. And then another feature or a thing that I think is super important is I always use a mounting bracket for my filter. That way the filter is held in place, the filter can't bounce and come in contact with the linkage, and it also can't hit the linkage or splash guard and get pulled back and allow any additional dust or dirt to kind of get into the filter or pull the filter back. But again, just wanted to kind of share a little bit of information. With most of the pre-oiled filters on the market, they come with a little bit of extra or excess oil, and you'll want to just make sure you take a brand new clean shop towel, wring out any of that excess oil to make sure it spreads out the oil and gives it a very even coat throughout the filter, and that will help your engine run a lot more consistent in dusty conditions because it won't clog up and then cause the tune to go rich.